Right. Let me get the live stream.
I'm sorry, never mind. No, go ahead. I don't swear. You can get our standards. No, that's what I'm good.
I brought a sweater too, so whatever you want to do, it's good for you.
It's probably just because I'm running like crazy and
Once you, about a half an hour from now, you start.
I'll be like, turn this way.
You got an adult chair.
You know, I'm sitting there, I'm going to. Like a restaurant, I had to in the back corner and have a seat up and
We're recording, we're live streaming, we're live.
Excellent. Thanks for getting that up and running. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order at 5:46 p.m. I see that we have 6 governing council members, which constitutes a quorum, so I can confirm we have a quorum here. Our next item of business is adoption of the agenda. And does anybody have any revisions necessary to the agenda? All right, I see none. And I have a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll motion. Rhonda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Amendment agenda is adopted. All right, next item of business is approval of the summarized minutes of the August 20th, 2025 regular meeting of the governing council. All right. Now we've had a chance to look at the summarized minutes. Are there any motions to amend the minutes of August 20th, 2025? All right, seeing none, I have a motion to approve the summarized minutes of August 2025 regular meeting.
I'll move to approve.
You have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Public comments. Do we have any public with us here today? I'm not aware of any signups, and I don't believe anybody is online. Is that right, Fabian?
Just Laura.
Just Laura. Well, she'll get plenty of chance to talk. All right, well then let's go ahead and move on to comments from council members. I'll start. We've been talking to Mariposa. She unfortunately is still quite ill. Spent a lot of time in and out of the hospital over the last 60 days, approximately 60 days. And so she's not going to be in a position to come back and join us too soon, but she does want to remain on the board. She's you know, we're hoping for as speedy of a recovery as possible. And she misses us greatly and being here with us. And so, they keep her on the board, and her family right now is still trying to figure things out, so they're not in position yet to accept the kind of help we want to give them, help them with meals and stuff. But she says she will be in that position, her family will be in that position, so sort things out with them. So just keep her in your thoughts at this point, and helpful. They will chase no that. In any way possible. Just a reminder, because of that, we're still gonna have a board member that won't be attending meetings for a little while. So the quorum is gonna continue to be an issue. So we can all do our best to communicate whether or not there's gonna be any absences. They can let me know he'll be gone for the next meeting. I appreciate giving us that heads up so we can bug everybody else, that make sure they're there. The extent we can all attend, and if, you know, something comes up, we've had to cancel meetings before, but the earlier we do that, the better. And for the needs of the school.
Aaron, do we need 4 or 5 for quorum?
With 8, we need 5. And so like tonight we have 6, which is great, so we could even go down 1. Miss Money and Dave, I think it's 5.
Is that an AKCS requirement or a self-regulate requirement?
I think it's probably both, but definitely not.
Would there be any way to amend that? If it was on our policies, that's something we should look into, like if there's an emergency situation.
It's something I'd rather not, because then you have half the board taking action on behalf of the whole board. So I think that's the whole idea of the forum, is to make sure as many board members as possible weighing in on the weighty decisions you have to make.
So the Open Meetings Act doesn't require the majority.
I don't know, I'd have to go back and look at the
Okay.
compliance guide. It may require a majority. So. Depending on what number you're at.
Yeah.
You gotta get to one more than half. So yeah, regardless, I think we have it or we want it. All right, is there any other comments from council members? All right, seeing none, let's go ahead and move into our head administrative report.
Okay. So I put a little extra information there, the bullets above our typical chart to show you where we're at in terms of student enrollment. So towards the end of last year, there was a request from a couple of board members to include some additional information, such as like not just the number of our current students, but the percentage of students who've left the school and some other information. So I had made a commitment to try to start including that information at the beginning of this school year. So this is the beginning of that. We're still early in the year, so it's kind of hard for that to look in terms of percentages and things like that yet, but it is something that I am aware of and really thinking about. Last month I provided a lot of demographic information in terms of student enrollment. And so it is something that I'll just continue to think about what information I could further provide everybody so that you know where we're at. So for this school year, at the beginning of the year, we had 15 students who had registered to attend the school, but then they did not show up on the first day of school. So that just to kind of gives you an idea of, you know, we hold these places, we register, we go through that whole process, have the spots held, don't get the spots to other people, and then they don't show up. So what I do, knowing that this happens, is I over enroll us. But never knowing exactly where the numbers are gonna really fall, because I don't know what grade levels it's gonna impact. If it could impact one grade level more than another grade level. So I do try to over enroll us, just so that we can allow for that shift at the beginning. And since the beginning of the school year, we have had 1 student withdraw. And so the current numbers are there. We have increased our numbers from August to September. So you can see at the end of August, we were at 355 students. And now we are currently at 362 students. I remember for our budget goal, and just keeping that there because 40 days coming up, our goal is 376 in order to meet our 40-day requirement for budget. So it does look like 40 days coming up like October 8th or something. So, I don't think we're going to be getting in a huge influx of kiddos at this point. So we are going to be looking at a cut of 40-day.
One question I have is it looks like 8 is a fair amount under enrolled, and where is our goal? Would you any ideas why?
It was a smaller, 7th grade was a smaller group of kiddos last year. And as well, it was a smaller group. And the majority of those kiddos stayed. So, so it just, I don't know why we're seeing that effect.
Didn't attract a lot of new 8th graders from somewhere else.
And we brought in some new ones as well. But because those numbers are lower, and our 6th grade number is higher than what it was last year, what we've had to do is create a 6-7 classes and 7-8 classes instead of having 6-7 classes in a straight 8th grade. We just don't have enough 8th grade numbers to support that.
Yeah. And we'll see how many of those increased 6th graders roll through.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, so building and playground improvements. So the work is continuing on the gates. We have a lot of, I forget how many gates I counted. I think we have 10 new gates or modifications to current gates that are in process right now. They're all in various stages of completion. There was some issue with the subcontractor who was working on the gates, and they've had to bring in a new subcontractor who started over the weekend and will be completing that project. So that's been a little bit of a headache. One of the issues that we've run into is that even the new gates that have been put in are now, a lot of them are already not working. And because the first person used a metal that was too heavy. And so now the gates are not, the hinges aren't strong enough to hold the weight of the metal. And so it's causing the latches to be out of alignment. And so gates aren't opening properly. And it's a little bit of a mess right now, but the main contractor is on it and has already secured a new subcontractor who, like I said, already started coming in and doing some work over the weekend. We are still waiting for the materials to arrive for the next phase of installations, which will include the shade structures over the shade canopies over the play structures on both playgrounds, the material to install, the tile to install in the bathrooms. So all of the kid bathrooms are getting that tile, so we're waiting for that material to come in. We're waiting for the deck material for the balcony and also the shade canopy for the balcony. So when all of that comes in, there'll be another phase of installation. We're also waiting on some smaller playground equipment that we've ordered to come in. And then the contractor is also still waiting on the permit from the city so that he can do the signs. The permit that of all the work that he's done so far is under a different permit than what he has to get for the signs. All right, so I just have a note here about charter renewal. I know that's the bulk of our meeting tonight. So I just wanted to point out that our application is due to AKCS by October 1st. And then our site visit was rescheduled from Tuesday, October 7th in the afternoon to Thursday, October 9th in the morning. And then I've got important dates in there. The biggest dates are going to be 40th day on October 9th, charter renewal site visit on October 8th for 40th day, October 9th for charter renewal site visit. And then I failed to put one date in there, and that's November 12th is the day that we present our charter renewal application to the AKCS board. So do you have any questions? Right, that's all for me.
Let's go ahead now and move on to reports from invited guests. Do we have any foundation reports?
I do, yes, the foundation met on August 26th. To do their annual strategic, or annual planning meeting is what they call it. And, one of the things that we really talked about at that planning meeting, was what are the needs of the school? And I talked about our biggest need as students, we need kids. And so we talked a lot about how the foundation can support the school in terms of marketing and increasing student enrollment. And so the foundation has some thoughts about that, and we've been just brainstorming maybe some different companies that we could work with, or different ways that we could get some marketing, increase some marketing and think about student enrollment.
All right. Any equity council reports?
I can do that too.
You wear a lot of hats around here.
So Equity Council has not met in quite a while, quite a few months, honestly. But we did just recently resend out the Equity Council application to the school community to see if we could increase membership. Membership has been challenging. We do currently have one parent member of the Equity Council, and so it's our one parent member, and then me, Anna, and Danielle, and that is our Equity Council. And so we really need to increase the membership of our Equity Council so that we can have a wider voice of in terms of the work that we're trying to do. So hopefully we'll get some interest in people wanting to be on the Equity Council. We can hopefully grow that membership and then be able to meet on a more consistent basis.
What did you send out? Was it an email or kind of communication?
Application, we sent out an application. It was through the school newsletter.
Oh, okay.
All right, then let's go ahead and move now into council committee reports, finance, facilities, and HR.
Okay, I will start with finance. So the finance committee has tonight. We met and we reviewed and discussed the August 2025 financials. This group includes the bank statement and register large dollar transactions. And we also reviewed the August budget summary, expense summaries, a couple of journal entries, and then many bars, which we will go over tonight. Let's see. Bank records look fine. There was no, overdue checks that have been outstanding for a long time. There were a couple of large items, large dollar items that came through on the bank register. Were there any specific questions? Most of the items that we're still seeing come through are the supplies or the supplies order that we approved back in June. Or things like the construction stuff, the front door access, installation. Normal stuff like payroll, taxes. Last month, we talked about the HVAC issue, so we saw that check was issued to mechanical concepts. Nothing unusual.
Does anyone have any questions on any vendors on there? I think the only one you guys maybe only seen once in the last year is that ThinkRight Technologies. Those were for headphones for testing.
And what line item was that one?
90.
Should be 90, I highlighted up here.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions? Can we, you've been presenting the Budget report.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think we usually do people first and then we want the bars, yes? So
Yes.
if there are no questions, I would move to accept the August financials.
And I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Motion carries.
all right, these look about, are these in order from your standpoint? In the folder?
Yes,
Okay.
they are. So bar 0001, that got voided because it was a duplicate of this bar that you're seeing here, which is 0002-I. So this is an increase for our capital outlay. So when we estimate budget, that's what most of these are. When we estimate budget in around April, we estimate based off of what we're seeing, and sometimes we overestimate how much we'll have at the end or underestimate. So in this case, we're going to increase it by $12,337. So we kind of underestimated how much we were going to carry over into the next year.
We approving them one at a time or just all at the end?
Say yeah, let's do one at a time, and let it real clear.
I'll motion we bar ending in 0002-I.
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, this is bar 0003-D. I think I did this last year too. When I put in the budget for this, I accidentally put the amount we had in the cash code. That's that 11112 you're seeing where it says revenue. And that's not where it should go. This is not cash that we have, it's only budget. So I had to decrease the cash before I could fix the revenue code, which is the next bar, which corrects it to the right code it should be.
So I'll motion we approve bar ending in 0003-D.
I will second that.
Any discussion? Any question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and bar 0004-I, this is increasing it with the correct revenue code. You can see there it says 43203, which is the right one. It is just budget we have to work with. It's a reimbursement basis fund.
I'll motion we approve bar ending in 0004-I.
I will second that.
Do you want to take?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, bar 0005-I, another increase one. This is for our instructional materials. I honestly just couldn't even budget this back in April. There's something going on with their revenue codes where it just doesn't let you manipulate it. So we had this budget last year. I'm just making sure that we're reflecting that we actually have it this year.
Have we even found out who to contact to add the codes?
You know, the first time it happened 2 years ago, Anthony Burns figured it out at PED. And then last year, he was like, I can't figure it out. And I'm like, but dude, you did it before. So I don't know why that keeps happening. And I'm sure we're not the only ones that are fighting that every year.
No, it's even in Title II, you can't bill for certain things under the right codes. You have to do journal entries to switch everything.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah, so I'll motion to approve bar ending in 0005-I.
I will second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, bar 0006-D. This is one of the lunch funds. This is the state side of it, and we actually had a decrease in it. They came out with their allocation tables, and ours ended up being a little lower this year. So I'm just reflecting the correct budget.
So what, explain that, what does that mean?
We were talking about this in the finance meeting, maybe why it was decreased overall. Rhonda, can you explain that better? Because I think I'm
So-
struggling with it.
I have to look at their nutrition application, but when this happened at another school, they actually completely lost the state match funding. So I called and asked why. So what happens is when you're a CP school, which they're assigning to most schools, so you get full free and reduced lunch. I think all schools have it now, right?
I think,
So-
yeah.
That percentage, if it goes up, your state funding goes down, because the higher your percentages in that CEP funding, the higher reimbursement is for the USDA.
And so the state kind of takes a credit, if you will?
Yeah,
You get
yeah.
the feds on that.
Yeah, it's meant to offset the cost of the school, so if that goes up, your reimbursement goes down. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'll motion to approve bar ending 0006-D.
That's second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and this is bar 0007-D. This is a decrease because at the time when I was doing budget, I didn't pre-plan for all the spending we were gonna do at year end, so we ended up with less than I had anticipated.
This is good though, right?
Yes, we wanted to spend money.
There is actually a rumor that they are gonna have a special session in October now.
To,
Probably take some of it, yeah.
Is that's part of their trying to fund all the others, or is that federal funding?
Well, if I have my say, I feel like that's their way of just stealing our federal.
Right.
They knew we were gonna get so much money in carryover through the ESSER funds. So now they're taking all of our cash carryover in our operational accounts.
Okay.
So, yeah.
and wait for early to get an idea of percentages versus full sweep, probably not likely.
Oh, I don't know. I really don't know what's even going on at the state level financially.
What's our current carryover?
Yeah, do they know?
Our current carryover is a lot less, but what is it now?
It's still over $1 million.
I'll motion to approve bar ending, oh, I can't see the bar, sorry, 0007-D.
And I'll second that.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, bar 0008-D, this is a decrease. This isn't a decrease in funding, it's a decrease in what I estimated us to carry over in this fund. So this is the other food services fund on the federal side. So we spent about $4,000 more than I had anticipated when I was doing this in like March, April.
I'll motion to approve bar ending in 0008-D.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, bar 0009-I, this is an increase. This is because it's carryover from prior year to this year, and it was higher by about 5,200. So it's good we had more money come in.
I just have a question, do you still collect fees at the
Mhm.
beginning? of the year? Yeah,
No, beginning of the year?
yeah, the registration?
No.
No, okay. So activities is mostly just fundraisers then throughout the year,
Right.
okay.
And it could be like we get a grant that comes through from the foundation for that the foundation applies for, and then we put that into activities money. I'm trying to think what else that we use activities for, or that we're, how we, or like, could be like, if we have like money for sports and they're collecting money for that, then it goes into a sports activity account.
Mhm.
Alright. I'll motion to approve bar ending in 0009 I.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, bar 0010-I, this is an increase. This is in our Medicaid fund. This one's always kind of hard to predict at year end. So I under predicted by about $5,800. So our carryover was higher by that amount. So I'm doing a bar to true up the amount that we actually have in cash.
I'll motion to approve bar ending in 0010 I.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Almost there, everyone. All right, bar 0011-I. This is our HB 33. Again, this is one of those funds that's just hard for me to predict. I estimate sometimes, but I definitely did not estimate high enough on this. I have to increase it by $157,000.
I'll motion we approve bar ending in 0011 I.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, bar 0012-I. This is similar to HB 33. It's what we get through tax collections monthly. And we need to increase our amount by $75,000 because at year end, what I predicted was less that. So we got to true it up to the right amount.
I'll motion we approve bar ending in 0012 I.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Bar 13 was voided, so we're going to jump to bar 0014-I. This is for the 31703 allocation, and I was just under by 16 cents on what they originally allocated. So they gave us an allocation amount, but I think it was the rounded number, and now they're just correcting the cents on it.
I'll motion we approve bar ending in 0014 I.
I will second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Where's the sensor at?
I don't know.
I think when Danielle walked over
I
there.
walked over there by the
No,
thermostat.
That, the other.
By the
In that
thermostat.
corner, I think there's a sensor.
Need to bring some tennis balls.
Hey, that's a great idea.
It is.
Okay, I think that's it for the finance.
With regards to the sweep, do we have? Do we have people that attend those meetings or being pre-briefed on what they're discussing? Or is there no way to really know beforehand?
It's the public charter schools in New Mexico, they'll be in attendance, be getting information, they share that back with us, we have weekly meetings.
Okay. So they should know
I'm
something.
gonna hire a lot of
At some
people
point.
if I don't earn more money.
Exactly.
All right, is that it for our bars?
Yes.
Do we have any action on supply of fixed assets? Anything further from finance, facilities, and HR?
No.
Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and move on to audit committee. I understand that Veronica's gonna step in for Jason.
I am.
Thank you.
The audit committee met on September 2nd. In that audit committee meeting, we can review the corrective action plans for items that were noted on previous year audits. The review included accrual entries, large dollar vendors and procurements, and the capital asset hold and roll forward. In the prior audit committee report to the board.
Sorry, can you repeat those items?
Sure. So the corrected action plan from prior years, specific items that we looked at were accrual entries, large dollar vendors and procurements. Okay, and the capital asset rollover.
Thank you.
So in a prior audit committee report to the board, we had covered our inventory certification for all tracked inventory. So in our meeting, our committee meeting this month, we certified movable asset inventory over 500,000 as required by state statute. And we did that by having committee members sign a letter as documentation of that certification. We do not have movable inventory over 5K. So next year, we're gonna go ahead and be more explicit in that we sample and review all tracked assets. And that we specifically test all movable assets that are over 5K. We don't anticipate having movable assets over 5K, but we did take that action, needs to have documentation, especially for others. Any questions? Laura, anything to add to that?
No, all right, well, and nothing we need to vote on. So let's go ahead and move over to nominating council professional development committee.
I don't have much of a report on nominating. I'm still hopeful that we'll get some interest in being on the governing council. On professional development, I am enrolled in the Zoom class on Friday afternoon from 1 to 3. And it's 1 to 3, but you get 3 hours of credit for it. It's financial and fiduciary responsibilities, effective governance, policies and procedures. There was one earlier in the month. I did not enroll for that one because I had some conflicts. But I just wanted to draw everyone's attention to the report that I sent out. And you know, I don't know, this is not dated, but the one with all the charts on it all the way through the year, the individual like 1 hour sessions. If you'd like, I can send it out again. Just to remind everybody. But it goes all the way through April with classes that were set up at that point in time. But as we all know, there will be other classes that come up, just like these 2 in September. But I'll let you know if it's worth the 2 hours sitting there on a Friday afternoon.
You know, one thing we can talk about, maybe not this meeting, because we have enough on our plate, is everybody be thinking, is there an underrepresentation on our governing council? Is there any profession or livelihood that we think might bring something to the board? And then maybe we should target, you know, we have scientists on the board, we have lawyers on the board, we got educators on the board, financial professionals. Is there anybody else we think would add something to it? I know we've talked in the past about maybe somebody in the kind of social work kind of area, therapist, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what do you think about it?
Maybe someone in the construction field, since we're doing so much to improve the building. Maybe someone who has that kind of experience.
And just different perspectives.
Yeah.
From the board. All right, we'll save the remainder of that discussion for another day. Now, the policy committee.
Don't have anything to report. We have 2 actions that we have now postponed for at least 2 meetings. Because we needed to review and consult with council, and hopefully that can happen within the next month. It's the audio and video recording prohibitions and exceptions, and the student electronic devices.
You we'll see what the next month holds.
Yeah.
On a charter renewal. Doing our life.
But yeah, it's gonna take up that time.
Excellent. And, strategic planning.
Nothing for this month.
Yeah. And academic committee. That's, committee is not there. Anybody have anything on today's behalf?
I do not, we have rain on, so.
All right, well, then that takes us into our old business. Item A is distribution of council self-evaluation. It came to my attention tonight that Dominic did that distributed about 2 weeks ago. And so I know some of you have already answered it, clearly I'm one that has not. If you don't remember answering it, please do. And then we'll be ready.
I still haven't gotten it, and I know you sent it, right? Just a few minutes ago?
We'll make sure we don't let you leave here today until it's in an inbox you can access.
Yes, absolutely.
Good, please.
And then that way for our next meeting, we can put, the council's, the actual self-evaluation on the agenda for next. If we completed in the next 30 days.
Julia, do you ever receive emails from me? Do you receive the minutes?
Oh, yeah, I got the minutes and
Just want to make sure I have the right. email
Yeah,
address.
no. you do, so I don't really know what's going on because I get them regularly from you, yeah.
Yeah, I'll check before we leave.
Right, well, then let's go ahead and move on to our new business. And the first order of new business is the adoption of our open meeting resolution. All right, looks like we have us pulled up. Frankly, it is very similar, identical to the resolution we've been executing for the past number of years, at least since we moved into this building. I didn't make any significant changes to it other than mostly the dates. Because our procedure for open meetings is the same. It gives our times, our deadlines for regular meetings, special meetings and emergency meetings, and states how we will give notice to the public. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about any part of this? One thing I always point out on it is the president can call a meeting, but so can a majority of the council. If you guys ever find that I'm not calling a meeting that needs to be called, you can get together, 4 others and call a meeting.
And this is action, right?
Yes, we do have to adopt this.
I'll motion we approve the open meetings resolution for the 2025-2026 school year.
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution adopted.
First signature proof.
Go ahead and get this on. I'll put in grass go. I'll let you borrow my pen, but it's not mine.
That's a nice pen. I wouldn't hand that to me.
All right, so our next item of new business is action on committee assignments. Thank you. First. Okay, so I was looking at our committee assignments. We're gonna have to do a little bit of changing. Do you have access to the Dropbox from that computer?
Yes. So,
I'm gonna figure it out right. I'll allow you to pull this up. I'm sorry, I should have put this in the list to ask you to get ready.
okay.
And if you go into charter, no, I'm sorry, committees. There you go. And then committee list 25, 26. All right, and so I've started to tweak it a little bit. This time, because I still have it open. So let's have yours be the master.
Okay.
Since everybody can see that, I'm gonna get out of it. And then will you close out of yours, reopen it and see if it updated? Okay, good, it did. Okay, so, what I did is removed, Mariposa from the, executive committee. I wish I had for you, Miss Christie, is she still on the audit committee? Okay, so she's still on the audit committee, so I figure we're not gonna mess with any of her other committee assignments.
I don't think Veronica helped me with this, but I think the only reason she's on this audit committee is because she's president.
Yes, but I think we talked about just leaving her as just a regular member.
Okay.
So we didn't remove her from that. We'll just leave her on as just a normal audit. There's no limit to how many, so we won't mess with that.
Okay,
Yeah, and we don't have any kind of bylaw or anything that says the president has to be,
okay,
right?
perfect.
Okay, good. All right, then, so I'd say at this point, let's not do any other changes to hers. I changed mine, added me to the executive committee now. And I was on onboarding of new members, strategic planning, charter renewal. I'm happy to stay on all those committees at this point. And so I would advocate that we leave me as we see there. So we'll just go kind of in reverse order. Veronica has you on finance, facilities, HR, academic. You are on audit, right? Okay, so if you could add her to committee 3 audit. Is there any other committees you're on that we don't have recorded?
Not at this time.
Is there any other committees you're dying to join?
Never needed.
Okay, well, we'll leave that for now. Dominic, we have you on executive, the executive committee by bylaws is made up of the VP, the president, and the secretary. Why?
So all the strategic planning, I started
Yes.
doing those meetings,
Yes, okay, so have you do the strategic planning?
but I'm willing to join, not have a name kissed. No.
Okay, then if we go up to Rhonda, finance, facilities, HR, policy, charter renewal, and assessment. Are those all accurate, Rhonda?
Yes.
You feel like 40 on it? All right, Pat is executive, nominating and council professional development and strategic plan.
Right, so I'm not on policy anymore, right?
And when, I mean, haven't you been the chair?
Yes,
So why is that not reflected up there?
I don't know.
Yeah, you still want to be on policy, right?
Yeah.
You still agree to be our chairperson?
Yes,
I don't know why it was not reflected up there, but we got that corrected now. And you're still comfortable with all those committees?
Mhm.
Excellent. Fabian is policy. Strategic planning. Is there any committees that you're currently serving on that's not reflected on this list?
Yeah, I'm primary for live stream.
Sure, live stream.
Veronica secondary on that.
Which you're up next meeting.
Yes.
You got the controls, you got the big wheel.
Yeah, for now, I'm good.
Okay. Good, and then Dave, we have him on onboarding, academic, and nominating. And so, since he's not here to speak for himself, we're definitely not gonna take away any of his committee assignment. But maybe we won't have many of these. So he's chair of academic, right?
Mhm.
So let me make sure, just so we can kind of streamline the language a little bit here. Is academic and assessment the same thing?
No, assessments are what we're sending out, like the questionnaires to staff about either the governing council or about the evaluation,
Okay,
right? I
I
mean,
think
that's
so.
the only thing I've done.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, like the council self-evaluation kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then my question would be academic review committee and academic, those are one and the same, correct?
Yes.
yeah, so let's, and that's my understanding, so let's give a common language to this while we're at it.
What do you prefer?
I mean, short and simple, I'd say academics,
Mhm.
because it encompasses pretty broad range of stuff. And so on the academic right now is Dave. Is Dominic on it? Dominic's on it. And then, okay, so now I think we're almost to a point. Assessment, policy, charter renewal, onboarding, okay, just to make them consistent, Dave says onboarding, I say onboarding of new members. Go ahead and correct mine to just onboard, we'll keep it simple. All right, does everybody feel that the rest of that is pretty consistent at least? Okay, so now let's jump to the other sheet in this book and make sure it's still accurate. Because this has not just the GC members, but the actual committee members. Standing committees, is Veronica, for finance, like Veronica, Rhonda, Anna, Christy, and Laura.
Yes.
Is that all right? Executive, okay, change the Monty Post up for me. Okay, and well, that's good now. Nominating council professional, Pat and Dave. And then audit is Jason, Veronica, Marty. Okay, Oscar's been replaced by, what's?
Jordan Russell,
Jordan Russell.
RUSSELL.
And then the rest of that was accurate.
What about
Not
Connie?
Connie.
No Connie.
No, no, fine. Okay, policy, Pat, Rhonda, Fabian, Marty, and Christie. Okay, good. Strategic, and I know I'm not on the policy, but if you guys want any help dealing with the lawyer and some of these things, I'm happy to. Pop in.
Was Dominic on strategic planning with us? No,
Yeah. Yes.
yes.
And also, putting Christie.
Yeah. She showed up every meeting. Even when some of us forgot about it, she's like, hey guys, coming? All right. Charter renewal, and let's just talk about it. Right now, to me, policies, an ad hoc committee that is the one that kind of always sticks around and probably should always stick around, because it really is always policy to be adopted. Strategic planning, I think, is that too. I think you should always be following up on your strategic plan. Charter renewal committee, once we get through this, it's one that I'm probably gonna argue that we disband until about 3 or 4 years from now. So, but we'll keep it alive right now, since we're in the thick of it. Assessment, I think it's one of those ad hoc committees. Gosh, I was thinking academic review. Assessment, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how much has been in assessment, what's done, I've never been on the committee, so,
Well, right now it looks like it's produced just Rhonda.
Yeah, because Connie needs to come off.
that's true.
So I'm just saying she needs somebody to help her out.
She may need a volunteer.
Just like times a year or so.
When it's needed,
Mhm.
sucked into it.
Yeah. We just need to decide, I guess, early on when those are ready, so we don't bring them last, or when those need to be ready. But I'm not gonna write a question for anything.
What are they?
The board evaluation, and that goes out to all the staff, right?
No, that's just you guys.
Okay, and then Christie's evaluation.
It's been handled different ways in different years, so I think the last couple of years, I think it's just been done with the board.
Okay,
I mean, if you need support on the committee, I'm happy to. I still don't completely understand, but whatever you need, I could support
okay, all right.
Alright. That's awesome. Okay, and then onboarding is Dave and I, we haven't had anybody to onboard in a while, so we haven't had any meetings, but I'm comfortable with that. Hopefully we will have somebody on board. Academic review. Does that look accurate as far as everybody that's on it? Alright. We had a list of other proposed committees. And I'm gonna think about, whether or not we want to try to fire up any of those committees at this point or not. Anybody have strong feelings about trying to fire up any of those proposed committees?
I think the bottom two were aligned with the previous strategic plan. So those are probably not as relevant to the new set.
I would agree with that.
So not needed at this time.
I agree with Dominic. I do think that the idea was aligned more with the previous strategic plan. So, because we were looking at trying to get STEAM and the idea of more sustainability, you know, there are specific goals for that. The strategic plan was less go around that I don't think are there any longer, so.
Are there goals in the current strategic plan that the board support? I mean, that'd be the only other question is, are we missing something?
I can pull it up real quick for you guys.
Yeah, I would agree, you can get rid of the bottom two for now.
You know, when I was starting to organize the strategies and goals within the strategic plan to try to get us going and get soon on a rhythm of here's the status of each of these.
Yeah.
At least notionally, it looked like we were pretty good in terms of having alignment with committees.
Yeah.
But it's Christie pulls that up if we happen to spot something.
Yeah.
I'll just read the goals and then that you can kind of think through if you need anything extra. Review and revise the AKCS charter, vision, mission as needed to serve a changing student population. Ensure educational staffing levels and resources necessary to meet individual student needs. Increase family feedback, two-way communication, AKCS advocacy, and student school engagement outside of the classroom. Strengthen the AKCS governing council. Maintaining and growing an effective and sustainable fundraising and development approach that empowers AKCS to fulfill its charter, vision, mission, and core values. That's the foundation's goal. And then we've got this equity council's goal. And that's it.
I can't think of another committee that's needed based on those.
Can I ask for, I feel like that there was, that at one point there was a committee that worked on my evaluation, and I thought you and Jenny did some work, and with Connie, but I don't know if that was a committee or.
I think it would fall under the assessment one, and I think we just had helped out. I don't know if that. I feel like assessment's a newer committee. And if it is or isn't, then we kind of mushed it in with like some of the stuff that Jenny and I were doing, like on strategic planning and that kind of stuff. But I think that falls into the assessment area.
It is a form of assessment, it's an HR based one, but.
I agree with the last two just from the gun.
Yeah, I agree. And then service to school. I think we've tried to get that balloon off the ground a few times. And even talked about it in strategic plan, maybe it was even in the strategic plan at one point. About mandatory service requirements and stuff, and I don't think we've ever really got a lot of traction.
Right. It kind of falls under the engagement, right, outside of it, which either of those two, and I don't know that there's a need for either of those two right now, but I think leaving them is the possibility.
Here's another possibility about them, it's kind of engagement related, but one thing I noticed, both in her foundation report tonight and reading the charter, is that advertising, for lack of a better word, that, enrollment, and so to me, that is a need that our school has, is ways to bring students to our door in this era of homeschooling and declining birth rates and all the reason that we have a 5-year trend, and not just us. Public schools have a 5-year trend. So that would be the only other proposed committee I could think of.
I also tied it into, my proposed mission specific goal with, that I worded it as home projects, but it's a different way to look at family engagement. That in a way that hopefully is more measurable.
Yeah. So, and what we can do, if everybody wants to kind of give a little bit of thought, because I think this is a big deal, we can put it on other proposed committee now. We don't have to, necessarily fill it out with members right now. But I think maybe we don't let it go until next year at this time before we revisit it. Maybe we talk again about trying to add to that committee and turn it into, from a proposed committee to a current ad hoc.
I wonder what that one is, that fit tied to where we target bringing in a new member.
Mhm.
Someone with that expertise and ties to stuff.
That's a great idea, somebody in marketing or media or, that have that expertise. Because now marketing is so much different than it used to. Kind of have to have an IT background to market. So that's a great idea. It's recruit somebody with that skill set in mind to even maybe be that committee chair. Good idea. Okay, well, so the only thing is maybe we flip back to the other one, put Dominic on assessment if he's not quite having. Yeah, then I think we've got some robust committee assignments. Everybody comfortable with that? Excellent.
Say,
Thank you. All right, now we are on new business C, declaration and signing of code of conduct / conflict of interest statement for your current governing council members.
So this was left over from last year, this when I worked on the agenda, of course, I went to last year's agenda to see. This was on here last year, so I wasn't sure if this is something that happens every year. But I thought, it doesn't hurt to go ahead and have it and look at it again. I think it is something that happens every year, I just can't remember. Do you feel like it has happened?
Sure.
Okay, so I have the blank copies for everybody to sign off of, and I'll sign off, and then I just hang on to them in this office.
Well, you mind if I just take a look?
If nothing else, it's such an important concept.
I think so, yeah, reading through it, I would
Be reminded.
it's a good reminder, yeah, and I do that with staff. Lots of times, just go into code of conduct or code of
Every
ethics,
organization
job
has been
descriptions.
in- Has it done every year.
And if you guys want, I know we have Sunday to talk about tonight, but if anybody wants to read through it real quick, and if there's anything anybody wants to talk about.
It's a multi-colored things.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah, go on. I just keep them in my G, see if I can get it on the system. And I'm not sure, now that so much of all of these is digital anymore, I do keep binders of everything GC in the office if you ever need to have access to it. Agendas, meeting minutes, open meetings, act like all the originals assigned, everything, it's all filed in the office. So if you ever need it, just know it's there.
All right, any other discussion on code of conduct conflicts of interest? Go ahead and move to new business item D, discussion and action on the revision of the AKCS vision and mission statement.
I think this could be worded as revision of the revision of the mission. Okay, so like I had shared at the last meeting, the turnaround time to try to put a draft together before the meeting versus when we met with the staff, it was really tight, and Anna and Danielle and I didn't really have a lot of time. We put something together. Overall, I felt pretty good about it, but what we kept feeling was that it was just way too long. And we wanted to really think about some of the words that were in there. And again, just because there's words with, again, multiple meanings. And we really wanted to try to come up with something that was shorter, a little more concise, and but still effectively communicated what we're trying to portray. So what we are suggesting is the mission of Alice King Community School is to provide a rigorous and nurturing multi-age learning environment where students thrive. Through a well-rounded curriculum and project-based learning, students experience authentic learning opportunities that fosters critical thinking, problem solving, resiliency, and leadership in order to grow into positive contributors to the school and beyond. The commitment and active partnership of the students, families, educators, and the community are critical to achieve successful student educational outcomes. So we try to get rid of some of the redundancy and less words, thinking about what's already captured in our mission, so it's not, or in our vision, so not trying to be redundant and say it again in the mission. So that's what we are proposing, but of course, we are open to thoughts, feedback, or if you want to leave it the way that you had approved it at the prior meeting, we totally understand that too.
I love the new version because it got rid of enriched.
That's for you, Dominic.
Thank
I do like it.
I'm good with it. Good job.
Yeah. No, but.
We had help.
Yeah.
That'll help us get to that point. We just wanted to make it like, who are we? When you read it, what do you learn about us? That's really what we settled on here. It's awesome.
And we felt like the word nurturing took care of safe and supportive. So really just trying again, just to be more concise, less redundant.
All right, with that, can I have a motion to revise the AKCS mission statement as we see before us?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Is there any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Who was first and who was second?
And I second.
You guys reversed order.
They want to make your minutes harder.
Yeah,
Hey, they were very kind to you on all 1,200 bars.
yeah.
At least they kept it the same. 1,200 bars.
Yep.
All right, well then, we are, done very good here, people. 6:55, and we're on our last, but greatest agenda item of the evening. New business E, discussion and possible action on approval of charter renewal application.
Right, so hopefully everybody received the application, the draft of the application. I sent that out. I don't know when, I just realized, I don't know if I sent it to Anna and Danielle, I don't know if you guys were on there. I think I sent it out to everyone on Saturday, so, hopefully you've had a chance to read it. It's pretty lengthy, so I tried to get it to you with enough time. So hopefully you had enough time, because it was a lot. I don't even know where to start the discussion, because there's a lot here. I guess it maybe, was there anybody who did not have a chance to read it yet? Or at least kind of peruse it a little bit?
I haven't gone through the whole thing.
Okay. Then I think do you guys want to just start with what are the things you're wondering about? What are the things that you feel like needs clarification? I'm not really sure the best way to go about this. Erin, do you have any thoughts?
Well, yeah, I thought just a couple of the big items, maybe have you go over some of those first, and I'll give you some more ideas what I think
Okay,
are big items. And then maybe that'll kind of help spark discussion. You know, when you think about, well, why are we a charter school? Why do we charter? Why aren't we just another APS school? What about us specifically? What do we do different? And so I think sometimes those mission specific goals become part of it. And I'm sure a lot of you notice in there that we kept one of our mission specific goals the same and we changed one. So maybe start by discussing with us why the change and.
Okay, well, so let me start with mission specific goals then. So let's see, Fabian, that is gonna be down on. Scroll kind of a long ways down to page.
Like 40.
Yeah, it's kind of a ways down there. Okay, it starts on page 27. The very tail end of page 26. Now, keep going, keep going. After all the financial stuff. Right, the tail end of that, okay, right there, question 2, provide evidence of outcomes related to mission specific goals. So we have 2 mission specific goals. The first one, this is just as a reminder, what we've been working on is increasing the percentage of students in grades K through 8 who remain with the same teacher for a minimum of 2 years in a multi-age classroom. And then that's our performance criteria to see whether or not we're meeting our goal. In terms of the multi-age looping, if you want to go ahead and scroll to the next page, you can see a graph there. And so what I've done is I've shown you what that looks like from 1 year to the next year, the percentage of students who remained with the same teacher. And then underneath there, there's a table that talks about, did we meet or did we not meet? And then I provided a narrative as to if we didn't meet, why, and what are some things that we're working. So this goal is one that even though we are meeting according to our criteria, I feel like it's an important one to keep. And the reason being is because this is one of the most central things to what we do here as a school. It is one of the things that sets us apart from other charter schools and other traditional schools. And I think that regardless of if there's changes to the board, if there's changes to administration, I think that this goal, because it is so central to what we do, should never get lost if there's any change in people that are operating the school. So I felt like it was really, really important to keep it. It is something that we really strive for. And I think one of the reasons I feel so strongly about it is because in a lot of schools, there's not a lot of thought given to student placement from 1 year to the next. You can have a multi-age setting. You can have multi-age classrooms, but it's that teacher looping piece that is really, really key, because it's that relationship building in order to strengthen the connections with students, the connections with families, and also to increase that academic achievement and the academic outcomes. In a lot of schools, what will happen, even when there's like combo classes or what they call multi-age classes, you know, they may be like, well, it's convenient for this 1 year, but the next year it doesn't really work, so we're gonna mix it all over. Well, we've had years when we've had to mix it all up, but our goal was still keep the kid with the teacher. If the teacher's no longer here, then keep the kid with their peer group that was with them in the class. So you keep that same class of kids together and loop the kids. And in more traditional schools, what will happen is that, let's say there's a behavior problem with a kiddo, one of the very first things is, well, let's try changing classrooms. That is actually one of the last things that we consider when we're working through things, and because we know that those relationships and connections are so vitally important, and so it's not like the first, oh, we're having an issue with this kid, well, let's try a different classroom and see how that goes. It's like, well, let's work through some of these other pieces first, and then if that's not working, then we'll try another classroom. So it's a very different approach than what other schools do, and that's why I feel strongly that we need to maintain it as a goal, because if it gets lost, then if you look at some of these percentages that we're looking at over the last several years, if you scroll back to that table, Fabian, yeah, that table there, you can see, and this is with us really being cognizant of the multi-age looping and keeping kids with the teachers and with their peer groups. You can see what those percentages look like in years that are really, really difficult. Like when we had the pandemic and we were, and 2/3 of the school was virtual for the entire year, and 1/3 of the school was, well, we'll be virtual until we can go back to in-person, then we'll shift to in-person. We still kept 36% of our students with their same teacher and loop and still maintain that looping. Even this year, when we've had to cut the number of classrooms, we're still meeting our criteria at said barely 76%, but it's still important. We didn't just throw it out the window. So even with us being super cognizant of it, we're still during difficult times, it's still challenging. So if this goal goes away, I feel like the integrity of the school goes away.
And we were talking, I think I've been here 13 years, you 14 years. And we've been, ever since we've been here, it's always been old age. And I can tell you from a parent perspective, and I sent 2 kids through here, just a connection with family, it works. I see my kids' teachers today in the hallways here or the grocery store. Big old hug, and me and my wife loved them because we spent 2 years with them. No, my kids see them and just fall for them. And it really, really works.
All right, so that's that particular goal. The second goal that we have been working on for the last 5 years is that we will increase the percentage of students in grades K-8 showing growth in social emotional competencies twice annually as measured by a school-created survey. This particular goal, I'll talk about, and then I'll talk about why I'm proposing that we retire it. So this particular goal, we have done a ton of work on social emotional learning as a school. Some of that is because of the pandemic. Some of that is because it's what we do as a school and people needed training in it. But through this goal, we've done a ton of work. We created a specific team here at the school, a team of teachers that focus on social emotional learning. They created this survey for students. The students take the survey twice a year. We look at we had to identify which competencies we were even going to survey students. We had to decide if it was even going to be a survey or if we were going to measure it in some other way. I mean, we've had tons and tons and tons of discussions, done a lot of work around this. We've made a ton of growth in this area. And this is one of the goals that I feel like it is very, very important. And I think it's as important as academics, but I don't think it's above academics. I think they're equally important. And I think that with the social emotional piece, because of the type of work we do here, and also because of our mission, this isn't going to go away. If we no longer have a goal focused on social emotional learning just, it's not like we stop doing it because it's more integrated now throughout the entire school. And it's built in so many different facets at this point that I think that if the board changes, if the administration changes, I don't think this is going anywhere. I think it's still going to be there, which is why one of the reasons I am proposing that we go ahead and retire this one and instead look at an area where maybe we do need to place a heavier focus and hopefully be able to make some bigger gain. How I see some of these mission specific goals is that we have it's our opportunity to really think about what is our focus and where's our emphasis, right? So our emphasis has been social emotional learning along with the multi-age learning. It's not like, or the multi-age living, it's not like everything else goes away. It just happens to be what are we measuring and reporting on that's specific to our mission. I think the goal that I'm proposing instead, the one that, it's down in one of the very last sections of the document. It has to do with home projects. And what we were trying to do with this is really think about that family participation piece, because that is something that we have seen decrease ever since the pandemic. And so how do we effectively measure that family engagement piece? Because that is so critical to what we're doing as a school, but it's something that we're really struggling with. So I think, Fabian, you passed it, so if you want to hit back up, I can tell you when to stop. It's right there, right? So yeah, there's your mission specific goals. So there's the first one is the same with the multi-age looping. And then if you want to scroll down to the second one, this is the one I'm proposing to replace the social emotional goal. So we will increase the completion rate of the required number of home projects annually for all students in grades K through 8. So that home project component, right, that's ties into homework, it ties into why do we not have school on Fridays, it ties into
Project-based learning.
project-based learning, it ties into family engagement. So we felt like through discussion between Anna, Danielle, myself, and our instructional coach, we felt like this would be the best way to try to measure some type of either out of school learning, because the conversation really started with how do we create a goal that has to do with that, the Fridays, right? We're a 4-day school week for a reason and by design. And where some other schools are providing childcare on Fridays, we've opted not to do that because we've intentionally designed the 4-day school week so that those Fridays are intended as home learning days. So the conversation started there, but it was like, how do you measure that and what do you do with it? And this is where we landed. We felt like this is the cleanest way to measure it.
And the completion rate is just how many kids turn it in, like what about the number of overall projects? Whole projects.
Like how many are assigned? So we have that set up right now already through our homework policy. And so part of that would be going back and really spending some time with teaching staff to make sure they understand what that expectation is. And then why is it so important? Because it's tied to a goal.
Yeah.
I like it, and it ties in with the newer mission statement that we just approved tonight, which specifically calls out, the curriculum, project-based learning, the authentic learning experience and opportunity, A lot of times you hear people say like, oh, my kid's gonna miss because we're gonna go do this thing. That's so much better than sitting in a classroom. So there's your opportunity, right? You're not missing classrooms. Yeah, no, I like that. I like you.
You might have missed it, but do we have a baseline percentage
We do not have a baseline
or
percentage.
estimated one?
No, and that was one of the things I really struggled with, Fabian, because I don't even, like, I wouldn't even be able to gather that. So how I see the rollout of this particular goal is that we would spend this year coming up with the baseline and then adjusting our metrics if we need to.
Do you think it's like 70% turn rate for home projects?
I wouldn't even be able to tell you, quite honestly. Yeah, and that's why I don't know if the metrics that I put there are reasonable or not reasonable right now, but we had to have a starting point. And I did talk with Joseph Escobedo, who's the charter director for AKCS, and he even said like it doesn't have to be perfect right now.
Right.
So it's something that can be adjusted as we work through the process.
And I think, depending on how deep they dig, they will understand why we're retiring the goal and putting this in. They'll understand how much this aligns to our charter and social emotional learning is something we've gotten very good at. And frankly, when we adopted it as mission specific, we were kind of on the forefront of it. now, a very popular thing in schools as a whole. So now let's focus on something that makes us uniquely us.
Not a hot button like it used to be.
Exactly. It's more commonplace.
Well,
for sure.
I think you got incorporated in the curriculum in
Yes.
schools as a whole, right?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. I think they're both excellent goals, and that's kind of what I thought. Let's start with what makes
Okay.
us us. And then get to, is there other parts that other people want to talk about? I don't know, just from the financial piece, obviously, for the governing council, we have to be very cognizant of it. I thought you did a good job of showing them, look how fiscally sound we are now.
Take 0 credit for that. I give 100% credit to Laura. Laura wrote all of that.
Good. Well, and Laura, I think you did a really good job of, not just blowing smoke at them and saying, look, we know what your downside criticism is gonna be. You're gonna say, well, maybe you're not deploying your resources effectively enough, and sure, levy that criticism at us. But we're gonna look pretty, omniscient when they go and try to sweep us. Be like, look, that's why we weren't trying to be so fiscally conservative, so we're ready for things like this. Yeah, and I have to admit, the details of all the ratios count.
Me too. What about plans for next charter term? I mean, I put those, I drafted some pieces in there. And but I really feel like that's a huge piece that governing council needs to be on board with, because that is like really what we're focusing on, and really thinking about what are we doing over the next 5 years. So the first one is on the school's academic priorities. And so I talked about our academic priority being to continuously increase academic proficiency in the areas of ELA and math for all students and subgroups. And then I tied in the data of why that's important and where we're at. And, I think that in terms of academic priorities, it really is about increasing academic proficiency. And I made a point in here to talk about how we are increasing academic proficiency, even though the scores look stagnated. If you consider how much of an increase we've had in some of the more at-risk populations, you would expect some of those proficiency scores to drop, but they've maintained. So that does show an increase in proficiency. And so, we want to continue to show that increase. Are you looking for a page, Fabian?
Yes, please.
34.
And as far as focusing on the ELA and math, as I read it, if I understood the
Keep
data
going
well,
up a little bit further. That one right there. All right, I'm sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
if I understood it, science, we've been doing very, very well as the school. So ELA and math is where we need our focus.
Yes. So, and then I talked about how I set our goal a little higher in math than I did in ELA, because I feel like we're not performing, and never have, and across the state it's true. In math, our state as a whole, we are not performing near as high as we are in literacy. And so I set the goal a little higher there, because I feel like that's where we have the greatest growth to make.
And I saw those numbers 10 and 12%. Those doable?
So I went back and really looked at what, how our numbers are looking, they've been pretty consistent. So like for ELA, for example, we were at 50.9, 49.5, 50.4. So the thinking is that, well, if we can get 2 points per year, that's 10%,
Yeah.
right, over the next 5 years. So 2% to me feels reasonable. But it's also gonna depend on what's happening with some of our subgroups and kids coming in, and how well we're able to retain our students.
Does it also count on whether assessments change?
Absolutely.
Because assessments change, and on this assessment, these guys are 60%ers, on this assessment, they're 49%.
I'm sorry?
Didn't we have a change in assessment tools?
The assessment, the state assessment changed in 2019, 2020. So the 21-22 school year was the first school year that all of this data was, because there had been a change, but then COVID happened, and now this is the data. So could we change assessment tools again? Absolutely, because it does tend to shift about every 5 to 7 years.
And administration changes can really.
Mhm. Okay, so then I talked about strategies that we're gonna use to address the academic priorities over the next 5 years. Just talking, really just, that is also coming from our, core charter values that are in our strategic plan. So some of this is aligned to that. So it may feel very similar to you, and that was intentional. And then there's some things that you may have picked up that I brought in from other sections that were part of this too. Looking at some of the academic pieces, because a lot of that academic work that we've really tried to bolster through over the previous 5 years, we're going to continue through the next 5 years. Okay, and then the next one was mission specific goals. So if you want to skip on down to the next one, it's organizational plans. And again, remember this whole section, academic performance, mission specific goals, organizational plans, all of this has to do with what are the plans for the next charter term. So this question has to do with anticipated changes to your facility, such as location, remodeling, additions. And I felt like it was really important to talk about all the things we have done, because there really wasn't a place in the document to talk about what we've done with our facility, because I do feel like we've done a lot over in the last 5 years. And so just to kind of, and then to carry that on, and looking at what is our current construction project, and then what are our future projects. So I said our future project is the renovation of classrooms to improve the acoustics in the main building. And then we talked about the reverberation study and our capital outlay. And then additional projects may include the installation of solar panels, possibly a gym. We have quotes, we've gotten estimates, we've had some work done on that, but there's no way we can do it without capital outlay.
Or maybe they just want to give us some of theirs.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, as our authorizer, if you want to kick in.
Give us a gym, that'd be good. And then the last section is the last piece of this particular section is the financial plans. So describing the anticipated changes to the operations of your school in relation to finance, such as new curriculum and instructional materials, modified staffing structure, decreased and increased student enrollment, etc. So I talked about how with ESSER funding, we were able to add these positions, but then now we're looking at a decrease of student enrollment and how that's going to have a potential impact on the financial operation of the school, since enrollment is tied to the SEG. And we're already seeing that impact, and I've already had some staffing structure changes. I talked about how, what that looks like in terms of the number of general education classrooms, number of where we were, where we are now, and how we may have to look at some other changes. A lot of and then I talked about too, like, we haven't done a reduction in force, it's just all happened through natural attrition, but we may have to look at additional staff positions being eliminated. So that would be a major, that's something very tied to financial and what could the future of our school look like if we can't increase our student enrollment? And that was the entire piece for plans for the next charter term. Did anybody have any questions, feedback, thoughts, things that we need to think about instead, or anything?
What section was the marketing more on? The enrollment section?
Yeah, it was an enrollment.
I mean, because that is kind of those plans for the future kind of thing,
Right.
too.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's.
Yeah, I can tie that in.
Restate that
Restate,
here
I
at
can do
all.
that.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, well, no, it's important to us.
Yeah.
All right, I can add that. Was there anything in the document that you felt like was inaccurate? Maybe there was some language that could have been worded differently or better, anything like that?
I found it very hard to find any flaws. It was just like that. Y'all did such an amazing job with it.
Thank you.
Tell it was a lot of work and a lot of thought that went into it.
Yeah,
Truly.
It's another language, in some respects.
well, I mean, I sent pieces, I farmed a lot of it out, so like, the finance committee, I need this from you, Laura, I need this from you, special education coordinator, I need this section from you, instructional coach, answer these questions, and then I took everybody's feedback, and then I cleaned up the language, made it, so hopefully try to make it sound like it flowed as if it was written from a single source, so that it, just so to make the language match across the document, but, I mean, yeah, it's just, it's time consuming for sure, but I would write a piece and be like, what do you guys think about this? Do you have any feedback? And Erin was like, hey, yeah, what about this? We need to add this in there. So, I feel like this is a document owned by a lot of people.
It highlighted for me how much of the science is, it's just so much detail and theory behind it now.
We'll say, my name is spelled twice in there, so.
Why did I do that to you?
I think it's the natural.
All right, ask.
Yeah.
Spell check.
What is it with it?
It can be spelled two different ways.
It can, yes.
I slip
fixing
one of those
you,
in
I'm
every once in a while, just to make sure.
I think this
I
I was made of
I am so sorry. I fixed it. It's
That's okay, that's quite right.
Thank you for catching that. So I don't know how much any of you have kept up with what's happening with AKCS recently. So Erin and I have been keeping up with what's happening with AKCS, but the AKCS policy committee has been looking at charter schools. And they've been having a lot of meetings recently and really thinking about the current charter school policy and if it needs to be revised. And they're wanting, there's a push to put in some language that may not necessarily align to state statute. And things are a little heated with AKCS right
I
now.
really want to close some charter
They do
schools.
want to close charter schools.
They made the news, didn't they?
I don't even know.
I heard they made the news for the infighting within the board.
Yeah.
I believe comes after that.
Yes.
Okay, all right, see, I didn't even know that. So I'm gonna actually pull up the questions because this all ties in with what we're doing with charter renewal, and I think it's really important that you all are just aware, because as we go into this charter renewal, I think it's important for us to know who our audience is and like what, just kind of where we are as a school. So there were 6 questions that the AKCS policy committee are really looking at. So what is the benefit to charters that apply for AKCS authorization? What disadvantages are there to being authorized by the Public Education Commission? What is the benefit to APS to authorize charters that apply to us for authorization over Public Education Department / Public Education Commission? What are the challenges to the APS district? How do we construct fair language for a moratorium on new to district charter authorizations? And this is the big one. What language can we construct that honors current contracts but allows the district to reduce the number of current APS authorized charters by attrition and or otherwise?
And or otherwise.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So this has been a hot topic, obviously, amongst all the charter schools, and it's a little stressful. I mean, there are 11 of the 33 APS charter schools up for renewal right now. That's a lot. A third of the schools are up for renewal all at the same time. We do have to go before this board and present, and we're anticipating a lot of questions that have to do with Gauzy Martinez and how are we doing anything different? Are we doing anything better? Why should they renew us? And it's something that we have to really think about.
Out of 33, or the 11, when we think of longevity, right? For us, we've been around a very, very long time, so out of the 33, because we've seen the number of charter schools explode.
Yes.
So when we think about longevity, and I like to see that history and the information that's in there that you've shared, with the statistics and all different things. So just thinking about it from that perspective, and then the equity stuff, all the things that that are coming our way, it's like, we've been doing this and we've been doing it for a really long time and doing it really well, and we're still going, we're still pushing that how do we keep doing it better, so if that can stay our focus, but I would wonder out of the 33, how many of them have been around 10 years,
But they're here 20 years.
Right. I know of 2 other schools that have been around about the same time as we have and have always been authorized with APS. So very similar.
when are you them up for renewal? Well, to me, that's good.
Actually, it's
I'm
saying.
I want to be the
Right.
oldest charter up for renewal.
Oh, did they get
That's the new board. And then, so part of the board was, what just came in new this year. Some of these board members, their terms up in December. We have our renewal in November.
nothing
Yeah. Yeah, so I just think it's important that you're aware, that, that this is going on in the background, and it's a huge source of stress for us as a school. And then, what if they decide, they have to have good reason to not renew us, the law states that, and there are certain reasons that they, it has to do with if you have, if you're not fiscally sound, if you're not making academic improvements, there's very specific reasons that they have to find for you to not renew you. So in terms of those reasons, I'm not worried. I feel like they don't have a reason to not renew us, but I also feel like just with the climate right now, that there may be some people who try to fit their reasons into the law's reasons, if that makes sense.
Well, they just never recovered the enrollments after COVID. And so they think they can get rid of it.
And so I did, Erin and I put an email together. We did email the AKCS policy committee just to let them know, like, hey, here we are. This is important to us. Here's why. We talked about that longevity with the district. And then after the last policy meeting, I think that was last Monday, I sent a follow-up email yesterday just to invite them, come to the school. Come meet with me, come see what we're doing, tour the school, see it in action. I'd love to answer your questions, learn about charters. I'll be happy to talk all about what we do and the fiscal part of it and how we give you 2% of our money. And so, for your portfolio, we really help you as a district. We're not taking anything away.
We give you 2%.
Yeah, hard
You
time.
guys send students here
Yes.
because we can serve.
That's right.
And we know that.
Yeah.
We know that because we've made phone call or cold call to
Uh,
ask about, oh, my child, da, 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 and they're like, who's right for you? It's kidding, right? You call like a parent line phone number or any of the resources, oh, your kid has an IEP, I have the exact school that you need to call and see if they're ready to enroll you. And that is what you'll get, because I have done that.
Yeah. And it speaks loudly for
Right.
us, but you guys think we do a good job. You wouldn't send students our way if you did.
Well, it saves them money too, if they can pass the cost on to
Yeah.
us, right?
So, so I'm thinking about renewal overall with the application, I did think about. And I did change some wording, everybody submitted pieces, Veronica did, Laura did, like I said, a special ed coordinator. So I did shift some of the wording around just to make sure that I was really thinking about who the audience is, who's going to be renewing us, hopefully renewing us. And really making sure that we're focusing on the Yazzie Martinez subgroups, because that is really important. And to this current board, and I wanted to make sure that we were highlighting, and we are doing that work, so I wanted to make sure that I was showing the data and talking about what that looks like here at school and highlighting that for them.
You say you're going to do a presentation in front of. the board.
Yes, so
That's
that's
a formal, I mean, have you written it out and?
not
script or-
yet, haven't even prepared for the site visit yet, and that's before that, so the site.
That's what you have to do though, right?
Yeah, so the site
Okay.
visit on October 9th is a 2-hour site visit, so it'll be the APS charter team, which is the Joseph Escobedo, the financial person, the special education person, and then they have like an assistant on the team. And then they bring in administrators from other charter schools who've become part of that team. And then part of our team this year is one of the associate superintendents at AKCS. And the reason that they're bringing that person in is because they're looking at some multi-age schools for APS, and they want to see how we're doing that. And then, so it's an 8-person team that comes in, and Erin is required to be present, and then at the very end of this document, you'll see all the questions. And those are all the questions that we have to address in the site visit. So I'll put together some kind of PowerPoint presentation. We're gonna visit a couple of classrooms. And so Anna, Danielle, and I have been talking about like which classrooms do we want to take them to, what do we want to highlight? So I'm looking at highlighting project-based learning and what that looks like. And I also am thinking about highlighting a class meeting, which is a big social emotional piece that we do. And so thinking about the academic side of it and the social emotional side of it. So that's nothing's finalized and nothing's written yet. So that's the next piece. But a lot of what's in our application will pull over to that PowerPoint presentation.
That's not your first one.
No. I think it'll be harder though, because our first one was all virtual, because it was COVID. And then when we go before the board, it'll actually be in person this time too. Never done that. That last time it was all, and I sat in a waiting room, and then they didn't even ask me anything. Maybe I was asked one question. I think I said like a sentence in that whole meeting. Well, this I think will be a little bit different. They're having all 11 schools at one meeting. So I don't think we're gonna have a whole lot of time, truly.
Yeah, that's a good thing as far as grilling.
That's right.
Yeah, if you do your politician thing and get the question and turn it around.
Yeah.
It's awesome, you know?
Right.
Anyway.
So that's what charter renewals looking like. Does anybody have any other questions or things you're thinking about?
So my guess is there will be no one more prepared or strategically set to do this than you are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're probably gonna have plenty of hip pocket, drop the mic type of.
We'll see. It's a lot. Luckily, we got a good team though. A lot of good people, but it's coming together. I feel confident about it, I feel good about it. I think I tried to keep the information in the application concise because they didn't, no more than one paragraph. Well, I didn't say it in one paragraph, I need a page. So it's tricky. But I think hopefully we did a good job of articulating what we're doing, the reasons behind if things aren't looking good like student enrollment. Hopefully we've given good sound reasons for that. But people who don't live in the charter world, it may cause concern and confusion, and so we'll have to just be ready to talk about that.
We'll try to do stuff on enrollment, we're probably trying to do this stuff on ELL.
Yeah.
Right, because we're so much lower than that. So as long as we kind of know where our soft spots are.
That's right.
I think that- Well, what does everybody think? I mean, based on. The only suggested change we had is maybe mentioning marketing at the end. And the reason I'm asking is, are we in a position to approve this tonight? Or do we think we need a special meeting to approve it? We were prepared to do a special meeting in case, you know, it's just a lot and we had some changes and we had to give those changes and she took them back. And so we were prepared to schedule a special meeting next week. Do we feel like we need to do that?
I don't think so.
I would actually ask you, with your comfort level with it, is there anything that we've discussed tonight that has any kind of major change that you would want or need from, us or to take it back?
I don't think so, as long as you're okay with whatever snippet I write about the marketing for that one question. You know, as long as you're okay with that, then I feel like it's ready to go.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that as far as, I think we'll pull some language from other places in the document.
Yep.
Is there anything else you feel like you need from us?
I don't think so.
Does anybody have any other questions we discussed before? Ms. Christie or the rest of the administration?
You know, one thing I forgot to share, sorry, Erin. One thing I forgot to share with the site visit piece, we'll also have some, I'm thinking about how we're gonna incorporate student voice into the presentation piece of it. And then for the board meeting, I'm looking at possibly having families, parents or students or both, actually make public comment. And then also thinking about having some staff or parents or students, or even some former students, send emails to the board ahead of time. Yeah. So.
I
let's
know
still
one,
look at that
the
together.
last name, I suspect.
But it shows the commitment to the board,
Uh-huh.
even long after.
It shows them, you know, to understand why you stay dedicated to the board.
Yeah.
I could think of a grandmother that may be willing to do that used to sit on our board and.
Well, that has a lot of knowledge of the history of
Yeah.
the school. Too.
She can send a good email, huh?
Okay, so that was, sorry, I just forgot about that piece that I wanted to share as I've been thinking about how I'm gonna put all this together.
And been pretty clear who they want at the site visit.
Mm-hmm.
They give this and not, must include at least, they're like, these people.
Yep.
All right, well. Then if we're all comfortable with it, well, excellent work to everybody that had a hand in it. But can I have a motion to approve the charter renewal application to be sent to APS with the revision regarding marketing that Ms. Christie's gonna do in the section.
Plans for the next charter term.
Plans for the next charter term session.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Well, the good things is there anything else you want to bring up?
The only thing I'm wondering is, do you need to, does the board need to approve anything for the site visit? He said it. And like, do we need to hold a special meeting once I've prepped all of that, or? I'm not sure, and it's something that I didn't even think about till just this second. I don't think we did last time around, but it also looks so different because of the pandemic.
It's all based off of the application documents you've already shared with us. There's not anything new, it's the items you described to us about the class visits.
Yeah, I'm looking at the questions right now. I mean, describe the typical student you serve, an overview of the school culture, how our school is proactively addressing the needs of students experiencing poverty and food insecurity. I mean, it's pretty basic
Yeah.
information, I think, assessment protocols, special education, English learners, there's a governing council component.
2 of them, yeah, most of it is. Tell us what it is, not, what are your policy goals, something, what are your fiscal policy goals, what are your academic outcome policy goals? Tell us what it is. I would say, I don't think that particular presentation needs to be required. The applications. I think this is a presentation of the application.
That's what I think
That's what it
too.
feels like.
Thank you.
All right. Well, then. Seeing no further business, can I have a motion to adjourn at 7:42 p.m.?
A motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next meeting, October 15th, 2025.